Hey everyone, it's Kyle from Cool Collectibles back again for another review. This time it's the Hot Toys MMS573 Marty, McFly and Einstein set. So I was originally going to pass on this figure because I do have the previous Marty McFly figure and the DeLorean. And I've displayed that previous figure climbing into the DeLorean, just like the cover art that you see on the box art here. But the more photos I saw of this figure, and the accessories, and then of course the announcement of the new Doc Brown in his radiation suit, I just couldn't pass it up. It's not a full reissue. There are a few differences that I'll go through as I show you guys the figure. Just of things of note, I don't think, straight off the bat, I don't think one figure is actually better than the other. There just are a few pros and cons either way. So the fact that I've got both and can display them in two different sorts of scenes from the movie, I think that does pretty well for my collection. But just quickly going through the accessories and so on, and the box art you see there, so nothing too spectacular, the usual sort of clamshell type stuff in there. But I might just get that out of the way and the figure and just give you guys a quick rundown of the accessories. Hold on. Alright, accessories wise, you do get Einstein, the dog. The likeness I don't think is particularly good on this set. The head sculpt, I think his snout is too short, and I guess the paint applications aren't really too accurate to the way he looked in the movie, so I'm not sure why they didn't fix that up. It does look like it's a separate piece, so they could have adjusted the headpiece. I'm not actually sure why it's a separate piece and not one fully molded piece. You can sort of rotate it slightly, but it's not like there's any full articulation there, and the seam here does look a little bit unsightly, so they should have, in my opinion, done it as one full piece and adjusted the head sculpt there. But apart from that, the paint application is okay. You do get that different colors of brown and so on in the shading and the white there, so that's not too bad. And I guess it does look fairly decent just sitting there next to the figure. So with Doc Brown in his radiation suit coming out and this particular figure, and Einstein, I'll have them sort of standing next to the DeLorean, so that should look pretty good on display. So that's pretty much it for Einstein. It comes with the old style Back to the Future stand. I think this is pretty much the same as the original, and it also comes with the old waist grabber. And I think they only included this because the traditional crotch grabber, he's too short for that to fit underneath his crotch. So I've never actually used the waist grabber on any of my figures. So I just typically just pose it so that it can stand on its own and leave it on the base like that. The skateboard here is essentially identical. I've done a quick compare side by side. And the skateboard and the Walkman are essentially identical. There's not really too many differences apart from some minor weathering effects and so on, but essentially they are identical. The camcorder is also identical. The only main points of difference are the way they've done the strap, and I don't think that's deliberate on their part. I think for mine, you've got the fabric starting part of the strap and then the sort of fake leather middle part, but for mine the fake leather extends out and they've actually clamped it on at the end, unlike the original, which has the fabric extending out both sides. So I think that's just really just an assembly error as opposed to a main point of difference, but everything else for that is the same. And then the newspaper clipping with the I love you on the back is essentially the same as well. So I think the only accessory that has any real difference is the backpack. So the backpack here is the new one on the right and the original on the left. So the sort of fake leather that they've used for the patches there are slightly darker, and you can see that on the sides there as well. So it's darker on the original than on the new, and also the new has these these diamond shaped patches on the bottom as well, so not just on the top of the backpack but on the bottom as well, whereas the original did not. So that's another point of difference. I think the patch here is a sort of a matte finish, whereas this one is the typical sort of fake leather, pleather type material. Apart from that, it's pretty much the same. All the strapping looks the same. The sort of metal pins there or hooks are the same. So really down to it is just the material for these pleather parts and the colouring and the extra patches on the bottom. I do think the way that they've done a little bit of the stitching for those holes does look a little bit better on the new, but for all intents and purposes they are pretty much the same. So that's it for the accessories, apart from the little watch. And again, I think this is identical to the original release, and I haven't even taken that off yet, the little foam thing there. But I do have my original wearing it because he's looking at his watch as he's climbing into the DeLorean. And the only other set of accessories are the swap out hands. So you do get a whole slew of hands to hold the camera, etc. They're all fairly nicely painted. I can't remember if they're exact the same sort of assortment that came with the original figure, but you get the typical idea of what you get there. But one point I want to make, they do come with spare little buttons and so on, and I will need them. I think the original also came with these because one of the buttons on my original Marty McFly's puffer jacket has actually fallen off, so I need to re-glue one on that, but I'll show you guys that in a second. But I'll give you guys a look at the figure and the comparison with the original. Hold on. Alright, so here is the figure up close, and you'll see the head sculpt there, the usual really nice skin texture on the figure, and I will bring out the original in a second. The only complaint I probably have with the new head sculpt is the hair does seem a little bit too flat. I'm used to Hot Toys maybe having a little more of the highlights in the hair, so this time it does look a little bit flat, and it does sort of come across on display as a big chunk of plastic on top of his head there, but it doesn't sit as high as the original head sculpt with its hair, but as I was saying before, I will show you guys the comparison in a second. The puffer jacket and so on I think is essentially the same. And you'll see all the sort of glued on buttons there. One of mine in the middle there, the black one on the original figure, has fallen off, so I'll just have to glue that back on. But in general terms, if you do have the original figure, you'll know what you're getting from the outfit. Again, there are some slight differences in the material. I actually think the jeans or the sort of denim here is actually a nice softer material. It actually feels a lot more natural than the original figure, so I do like how they've done that, and some of the patterning on the sleeves here are also different. For those wondering about the shoes, they do not have the Nike swoosh. Some original for the original figure, people were getting some of those stickers or decals that they could place on there, but I never even bothered doing that with the original, and I probably won't bother doing that for this figure either. To be honest, I don't think on display it's particularly noticeable, and it does look pretty good overall. So I think in general terms, if you didn't have the original and can get a hold of this one, particularly if you're going to get Doc Brown as well, I think this will definitely be the way to go. They did say that it was meant to be some sort of Hot Toys exclusive or Sideshow exclusive, but I pre-ordered this through Pop Culture here in Australia, and there weren't any major issues in getting it. There was a bit of a delay obviously, but Pop Culture is typically pretty slow in getting any of their figures. But overall, I think if you do have the original and you don't necessarily need this, but if you are looking for a figure, then I think this is probably the way to go. But I'll get to doing some of the comparisons now. Hold on. Alright, so here is the original figure on the right. I did think about whether or not I wanted to repose him, but as you can see, he's stuck in the pose where he's getting into the DeLorean, and I really don't want to go through the headache of trying to redo that again. But I'll probably just hold him like this just to give you guys a quick comparison. And as you can see with the head sculpts, they are slightly different. And I just noticed that one of the accessories he does not get with the new set is the set of sunglasses that he's holding up there. So I guess if you are looking to have him step into the DeLorean with the sunglasses, you might have to either get them off eBay separately or get the original figure somehow. But as you can see, the likeness is different and the skin tone is definitely different. The original has a darker skin tone, but it does have some more natural freckling, to be honest. I think the overall texture on the skin is pretty good. I think the eyes are definitely slightly wider, whereas on the new they're a little bit squinted. But I guess the biggest thing for the difference is the hair sculpt does sit a little bit high on the original, but when you're looking at it with the sunglasses on, you really don't see that difference at all. So I think either figure has a pretty good likeness. I've never had a problem with the original. I'm looking at it right now in comparison, and I'd be happy with both, to be honest. It would have been better if the new one had maybe a bit more expression to it as opposed to this sort of stoic look. Maybe a surprised or, you know, one of those dazzled looks that he had when Doc Brown was talking to him. But apart from that, both head sculpts I think are pretty good. Another point of difference, I guess I did say that the puffer jacket was the same before, but looking at it now, it obviously is not. The original is a much brighter red, and the stitching is also like an orange color, as opposed to the new one, which does have essentially the same colored stitching as the rest of the puffer jacket. It is a darker sort of red, so I'm not sure which one I prefer, to be honest. And as you can see, I was saying before that one of my buttons here has fallen off, so I just need to glue that on. But on display when he's getting in, you don't really notice it, so I'll see if I can be bothered doing it. But the jacket on the inside, as you can see, if I just zoom in a little bit more, the sort of denim patterning on the lighter colored parts of the suit are definitely different. You can see on the original here, if I can focus, it has more of a the denim lining, or the pattern, if I can speak properly, the patterning to it, whereas on this new one it is a much sort of smoother blue, so the patterning is much finer. The darker blues I think are pretty much the same, apart from, again, the original has lighter color stitching, and there is stitching all the way along here that is a lighter color, whereas on the new here the stitching is pretty much the same color as the outfit and a little bit finer. So I actually think the new looks better. The material seems of slightly higher quality. I think this material on the original is thicker, but I just don't prefer that sort of more pronounced denim patterning. You can sort of see all the sort of patterning along the inside here. It is much more pronounced on the original figure. And that sort of goes for the jeans as well. The jeans, I like the shade and the coloring on the new better. The stitching, as you can see there, is quite nice. And the original has more of a lighter, it's almost like an acid wash style to it, as opposed to the new. So I think I'll definitely have the new standing next to the new Doc Brown, and I'll keep the original here climbing into the DeLorean. But that's pretty much all the major differences. I think all the sort of glued on buttons and so on are the same. The inside shirt looks the same. They both have the red t-shirt underneath. I'm not sure if anyone's actually taken off all his clothes to expose all of that, but I certainly won't. And the socks and the shoes are essentially the same as well, so it really boils down to the materials that Hot Toys used. for the denim. And I think for me, I guess now with the finer details that you get to see in some of the newer figures, I do like that the denim doesn't look so pronounced. It does seem more, 1/6 scale, as opposed to they just used real material and just sort of stitched it together. Not that the original is bad in any way. I think it still looks fine the way it is, particularly with all the pockets and so on are still quite nicely detailed. But overall, I would have to say the outfit I prefer on the new. And just looking at it on display, I think I do like the brighter red on the original jacket, but I guess overall in keeping with the new style, I think that one looks pretty good in its own right. So that's pretty much it for the comparison. Hopefully you got a decent look to see if you can decide which one you want to get. For me, I guess the choice was easy once I ended up getting both. But if you are stuck with trying to get one, I would probably say get the new, unless you really do need those sunglasses. And they do look pretty good in that sort of pose. But that's pretty much it. Hopefully you like my thoughts on it and can give the video a like, and subscribe to the channel too. I do have quite a few things coming up later in the year as well, through Sideshow, Big Bad Toy Store and pop culture. So hopefully you can subscribe and stick around for all of that. And until then, thanks again, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Cheers. Bye.